stand as one, walk with thousands.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dad Bods and Beers. We've got a fun one with tripped over my tongue. Hey everybody,
I feel like
shut up.
We need to say like a prayer or something for you today. He is like on edge right now.
We're planning a big event in Florida, and so I'm a little stressed.
He has RT, can't you tell? Like it's going crazy right now of how stressed he is. RT. Rock
No,
it.
I don't. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. Okay, we're gonna start over because you're laughing literally in the mic. Okay, hold on. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dad Bods and Beards. We've got a fun one today. We'll get to introducing our guests in just a moment, but as always, we want to highlight our primary sponsor, Mountain Ops. I've been utilizing the sleep gummies like
You always utilize
crazy.
the sleep gummies.
No, like I normally use them, but I've been like probably overdoing it because I need to sleep.
I've had 2 ignites today just to stay awake.
Yeah. So we love Mountain Ops. Some of you guys hear us talk about it all the time. I've been utilizing the sleep gummies a lot. Plus, I've been using the pre-workout every day to the point where I'm out of it. So I've got to get more of that. I've got to get more of the sleep gummies. My kids like the sleep gummies too. But check out Mountain Ops. Use code DADBODS and you'll get 20% off. And then everything you order online, a portion of it goes to feeding families in need. So without further ado, Dan, you said we're the third today, the third podcast?
Yeah, that's why my voice sounds like a 1-900 number. So if it sounds familiar to anybody listening, shame on you.
Oh, that might be before my
I'm
time.
out of here.
What's a 1-900 number?
1-900 number is when you were in junior high and you had a phone booth right outside and you wanted like, hey, you should call this phone number. And then they reach it and it's like some sexy person on the
Hi,
phone.
are you lonely? Do you feel that need to confess? Phone me 1-900 Logan.
I've never experienced that.
Did you ever experience? I don't know if you did.
No, I don't do that stuff.
No. But did you ever dial 0 as a collect on those calls? Hi, Mom, come pick me up, and then hang up.
Oh yeah, we had payphones at high school before cell phones, but
Wasn't that like a couple years ago?
no, I graduated in 2008. But no, we've got Dan Clark in studio here with us, and I feel like I could probably introduce you, but I probably wouldn't do it justice. So why don't you give everybody a quick rundown of who you are if they don't know who you are, and why they probably do know who you are if they don't know.
Everyone knows who you are.
Yeah,
But tell them why
But they
know
probably
you.
I'm a
don't
really big deal.
realize.
Yeah, you're
They
right.
probably don't realize that they know who you are.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
Tell them about your Reagan days.
I'm a really big deal. Thanks for sending the limo to pick me up today and giving me my
we have a
star in the
limo?
green room. That was
It's true.
you flattered me.
He got
I'm a
got a mixed bag of nuts in there too.
Yeah.
We went all
Yeah,
out.
thank you. So I'm just a simple man. I think if we categorize our lives and somebody would say, what do you do? Or what word would epitomize you? Of all words, I think I would choose entrepreneur, because you guys, when we first met, you're entrepreneurs. Everybody in that room where we met at that high level mastermind were entrepreneurs, and an entrepreneur is someone who doesn't look at something for what it is. He or she always looks at it for what it has the power or potential to become. We're always trying to fix something. We can better ourselves. We go into a gym with the mindset of a champion athlete who we idolize because they go into a gym with intention to create discomfort on purpose. So they're always living on the edge. They're trying to push themselves. We raised our 4 children on several mantras. One was, the only person you need to be better than is the person you were yesterday. So having said that, I've always just pursued excellence. My first memory of overcoming an obstacle was when I was 8 years old in the hospital battling throat cancer. And I don't remember a whole lot about my youth, except I remember being in the hospital where I couldn't lift my head and overhearing the doctors say that if the cancer keeps growing one more day, it will take out my vocal cords and I'll never be able to speak or sing. I've got some gold records in country music. I've written a lot of songs.
See, that's me though. I couldn't lift my head up, but it was just because it was so big.
That's very funny.
I was going to say, you have gold records in country music.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Just cowbells.
Yeah. No, we write. You don't know about Tyson?
Yeah, no.
We write songs like "Had I shot you when I met you, I'd be out of jail by now." We've got it.
We wrote a lot of Kenny blogging book.
Yeah. My wife ran off with my best friend, and I'm going to miss him dearly. Yeah, we're deep. We're good songwriters. Yeah. Anyway, I'm taking too long to answer your question. So basically, I pursued excellence my whole life: football, basketball, baseball, track in high school. Got scholarships. Went to the University of Utah, played football and baseball, and in about 1979, in practice, I was a projected #1 draft pick by the Oakland Raiders. Had my meeting with Al Davis and got my letter from Ron Wolf, who was head of player personnel at the Raiders. Invitation tryout out of high school as a baseball pitcher by the Kansas City Royals. So I was an athlete. That's all I was. That's who I was. And one day in practice at the University of Utah, going into my last year, the coach blew the whistle and two of us ran into each other full speed in a violent head-on collision, smashing my right shoulder into the cutting edge of my fiberglass pads, and we slammed to the ground. And when Lyle got off of me, I had compressed my 7th cervical vertebrae in my neck. I'd severed the axillary nerve in my right deltoid muscle, and I suffered a grade level 2 concussion. My eye drooped. I had loss of speech, which momentarily came back. But my right side was paralyzed and my arm dangled helplessly at my side, leaving me paralyzed for 14 months. I went to 16 doctors, 15 of whom told me I would never get any better, I'd never recover. And my life spiraled downward until I hit what I thought was rock bottom. And if no one remembers anything else I say today, everyone within the sound of our voices needs to remember that no matter how hard things get, no matter how tough times seem to be, nobody ever hits rock bottom. We hit rock foundation, we hit rock belief, we hit the baseline core values and governing principles on which we were raised. And so long story shorter, as I fought my way back to a 95% recovery, I was asked to speak. People were curious, and I parlayed it into a full-time deal. So I've become a professional speaker. I've been doing it for 40 plus years. I'm in the professional
So not very long.
Nope. I'm in the Professional Speakers Hall of Fame. I'm New York Times bestselling author of 37 books. I'm the primary contributing author to all the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. So
That's
I
cool.
take pride in being a master storyteller. And then, as I said, I've got some gold records in country music. So
And what's
I'm a writer.
who was singing those?
Michael Peterson, Drink, Swear, Steal, and Lie. Kenny Loggins, the greatest little boy in his baseball hat, stands in a field with his ball and bat. He says, "I'm the greatest." Story about the little boy throws up 3 times, strikes out. Man, am I a good pitcher? Yeah, I wrote that story.
That's cool.
So my whole calling, I guess, is to just make sure everybody understands that no matter what your past has been, you have a spotless future. Especially men, especially dads, because we have a tendency to compete against others, and it always takes us down no matter what. We always find someone who's better, who's faster, stronger, smarter. But if we can start competing against what we're capable of, it changes our whole dynamic. And that's what I had to do to get better. I had to figure out a way to focus on purposes instead of just setting goals.
So how do you do that?
You understand the significance of the head and the heart. So what happened is I fought my way back. And I stayed, let's go there first. I stayed paralyzed for 14 months because I was asking the wrong questions. Just like you said, how do you do that? Everybody asks the how and the what. And when we only ask the how and the what, we only engage the head, the brain. But when we add to that a passionate why, it connects our head with our heart. And physiologically proven, our blood pumps more rapidly, our brains fire, and our muscles magnify, which maximizes our energy and our performance. So I stayed paralyzed for 14 months because I was asking the doctors how to get better when I should have been asking myself why. And once we answer why, figuring out the how to becomes clear and simple. So any dad, any father, any male who's fallen off the wagon, who seems to kind of hijack themselves off the rails, needs to understand that no matter how many times we do that, we can get back up if we just identify the why, and our why is bigger than our why not. Ooh. And it really boils down to relationships. So Jim Rohn, one of my mentors, he's famous for saying we become the average of the 5 people we associate with the most.
I've heard that a lot.
So if you hang around with 5 broke people, you're going to become the 6th.
We got to get new friends. I'm just kidding.
If you hang around with
All our
5
friends are like multimillionaires.
I know, all our friends are rich.
No. Think about it. We laugh about that, but proximity is the number one currency. When we can have access to each other, when we can actually validate that we must be willing to pay any price and travel any distance to associate with extraordinary human beings, even on a podcast, we can change our stars. Because if you put a hard-to-catch horse in the same field with an easy-to-catch horse, most of the time you end up with 2 hard-to-catch horses. And in the human experience, when you put a healthy child in the same room with a sick child, most of the time you end up with two sick children. So again, moral to the story, to be disciplined, healthy, and significant, we must be proactive. We must select our friends. We must take our precious time and say, who can I hang around with and with a service before self mindset, so they don't just think we're just tagging along or trying to get something from them. But coming with that mantra, how may I serve you? The law of psychological reciprocity kicks in, and they'll want to do something to serve us, and together we rise. So if you're hurting, all you have to do is find someone else who is hurting, serve them, and two people are healed.
Logan, you need to serve me more.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys serve me.
Okay, so can I talk about this?
Yeah.
Me and you.
Yeah, get your mouth in front of your mic.
Because I'm trying to make sure.
I know, I can see you. Go.
And if I share too much, just tell me to shut up and they can edit it out. So Logan, so back in, 3 years ago?
Sure. I don't know.
Logan,
I don't know what you're referencing.
No, just when we met.
Oh, okay.
3 years ago we met. We became really, really close. We had, and really good friends. He was helping me build Copper John's, which is our men's grooming company that I own. It's growing and it's growing, but we're in this phase where it's like we grew a little too fast, and now we're struggling because of it.
Oh, yeah.
And now we're about to grow even more so because we landed 2 really big contracts. But I'm still figuring out how we're going to do it because we're still in the struggling because we grew too fast. Now we add dad boss to this. Logan has recently lost his job, and not recently, since October.
This is 7 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, October-ish. And he's struggling financially. Copper John's hired him, but can't pay him because we're growing too fast where now I can't pay him. And he's still helping me, but there's going to be some compensation in the end that we've talked about, this kind of stuff. But we're to the point where it's just like stuff's got to happen. And not that we're negative, but we're in a mindset that's really rough right now.
Yeah, because I think you push and push and push. Like you said, the entrepreneurial brain that's where we're both at. Is we got multiple brands and businesses that we're trying to grow. And we're both like, oh, I remember the really comfy paycheck. Yeah. Right. But then, there's circumstances where paychecks, didn't come anymore. And so with that, it's like, I want to piggyback that question.
I didn't ask a question yet.
Oh, go ahead. I thought that was your question.
No, that was telling him what's going on. So it led up to the question. What do we need to do to get out of this funk? Because I feel like him and I talk and we're like, we're trying to strive and help each other in any way we can. However, Logan and I don't talk as much as we used to because we're both in a funk and we really don't want to talk anymore, but we want to talk, but we don't want to talk. That's how it feels.
Well, it's because
so how do we get out of the funk? What are we doing wrong? And what do we need to, so that I can help him, he can help me, and we can be more of a not like a team, like once we were, but more of just like, so we get out of this funk, because we are in a funk mentally. Like we're just exhausted all the time because it's just like, we're doing all this work and it's just, we don't
let me
see
give
any
you a
progress.
system. So a few years ago, I had a rare opportunity to soar to the edge of space in a U-2 reconnaissance aircraft. So they fit me in my 130-pound spacesuit, and I was introduced to my commander. I climbed aboard the aircraft, and within 45 minutes, we're at altitude 17 miles above the Earth's surface, where for 5 hours, we sat in the sounds of silence, looking at the breathtaking curvature of the Earth, gazing into the endless blackness of the universe, pondering eternity, my place in it. And in that environment, I realized that the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson are so true. The mind once stretched can never return to its original dimensions. So what's happened with you guys is you've had that opportunity to stretch what is possible, redefine what's possible. And all of a sudden, once you've seen what's possible and you've tasted the nectar, you've got the cushy paycheck. What we have to remember is that the same thing we did to create it in the beginning will work to create it again. So what's happening to most people who get in your funk, as I've dealt with so many folks as a coach, is we don't admit that we're complacent, but we become complacent. So the mindset, let me give you a story. I'm a storyteller. So I was a house guest of Muhammad Ali way back in 1988. I was the state Golden Gloves boxing champion here. So he had been my hero, my idol.
Who are you?
I had tassels on my boots.
Oh, this is so cool.
I was the Great White Hope. I had the shuffle. I had really fast hands. So I'm speaking at Berrien Springs, Michigan, to all the students at Andrews University. I'm doing a book signing, and these two guys walk by saying Muhammad Ali had been on campus. I stop in my tracks. Where? They said, no big deal. He lives here. He comes on campus every day. So I asked the student body president if he knew where Muhammad Ali lived. He said, yeah, he lives on the outskirts of town. I said, you own a Camry? He goes, why are we going to his house? I'm like, yeah. So we invite two of his buddies. The four of us get in this car. We drive to the outskirts of town. Here's his white southern mansion, big columns, circular driveway, gate open. It didn't say no trespassing. It said, welcome. I said, are you guys coming? They're like, no. I walk up his circular driveway and I knock on his door. His wife answers. She says, may I help you? I'm like, yeah, it's Mohammed. And she goes, yeah. She says, may I tell him who's calling? I'm like, yeah, Dan. She goes and gets him. A couple of minutes later, there's 6'3", 225-pound, larger-than-life superheroes filling his doorway. Hi, you want to come in? I'm like, yeah, I'm here with three other guys. Can I invite them? Yeah. They can't believe it. They're diving over bushes. They slide into his front entranceway. For the next 5 hours, we watch his greatest fights on his big screen. Thrilla in Manila, the whole deal. And at the end of the day, he fed us. Unbelievable. He says, Danny, you have any questions? I said, yeah, I'm an athlete. What's your number one most effective exercise that gets you in the fastest shape? He said, stomach crunches. I said, really? I said, how many did you do? He said, I never counted. He said, I never started to count until they started to hurt. I said, what do you mean? He said, there's a giant difference between training to fight and training to win. And I said, I have one more question. You're a 3-time world champion, which means you've been defeated twice by 2 inferior opponents. Why? He said, I got complacent. I said, what do you mean? He said, I forgot that once the fight starts, I no longer hold the title. I've put it up for grabs, and I must become brilliant at the basics and fight as hard as I did the first time I won it to win it back. So right out of the chutes, I would say to you guys, make a list of the most basic things that you did at the very beginning to not just build your business and scale it, but to start the business. And as you start itemizing those back to basic issues, it's amazing how the football teams, I played football for 13 years. The teams that lose always begin the game with the goal of winning. That's ironic. Teams that lose begin the game with the goal of winning.
Yeah.
The teams that win begin the game with the goal of execution. One play at a time. And not every play in football is designed to score a touchdown. One play sets up the next play, which sets up the next play, and eventually that running back breaks through for that 30-yard scamper to score the game-winning touchdown. So I'm telling you guys, get back to basics, and it would be so fun. I could come in just to help you brainstorm, and you itemize all the things that you did in the very, very beginning, the thoughts, the emotions, the actual processes, and revisit those. Number 2, what I always do is there's a 9 category, I call it my balance wheel, 9 categories of life to see if we're in balance or out of balance. Physical fitness. That's how you manage your energy. When we first met, you guys have lost some weight.
Yeah.
I know, but you've lost some weight. Your energy, you're looking good.
Thanks.
Continuous education. What could you study right now that would help you get out of the funk? And it doesn't have to be business oriented. It could be spiritual. It could be humor. Humor is healing.
I agree.
I mean, it's so critically important. Deeper spirituality, emotional stability, social networking. Who could you call right now? The reason why I shared the Muhammad Ali story is people go, you went and knocked on his door. And I'm like, yeah, the worst you could have said was no. Who do you know that you could actually sit down and say, look, we don't want a bridge loan. We don't want you to charge us some big money. We want you to believe in what we're doing. And we don't want to have to sell our souls. We don't have to give you a slice of the action of your company just to get out of the funk. You need somebody who says, I believe in you. Zig Ziglar, he sponsored me into the National Speakers Association. He heard me speak, took me under his wing, sponsored me in the National Speakers Association. Actually, first he flew me down to Dallas to speak to his company. Then he sponsored me in the National Speakers Association. I didn't have any money. I had to take out a loan to meet him in Chicago way back in the day. And then he invited my wife and I, newlyweds, to his 5-day seminar in Dallas, Texas, Born to Win. And it was there, it changed our lives and kickstarted our marriage. But it was there that he introduced me to somebody who introduced me to Nancy Reagan, who invited me into the Reagan White House to take Mrs. Reagan's Just Say No program to all 50 states. So between 1983 and 1989, I'm paralyzed. I had to fight my way back. I got better because my why was bigger than my why not. But because Zig Ziglar took me under his wing between 1983 and 1989, I spoke to 3 high schools every day, 15 a week for 140 school days a year, and did 100 college university campuses every year, and transitioned to the corporate arena as a professional speaker in 1991. I've given 6,000 speeches in 77 countries because of 6 degrees of separation. So before we went on the air, we were talking about proximity as the number one currency. When you can find someone who believes in you, who understands you guys. And when we met, we had instant chemistry.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of minutes under our belt, and we were going to have a lot more because of the connection we had. But when you can find someone who's intuitive, and I immediately knew I could trust you. I immediately knew we could laugh together and cry together and do the thing. I already knew that, and we'll do that a lot. You only need a few folks who have a little bit more money than I do, who believe in you at the same degree, and all of a sudden that one person might not be able to help you, but they know somebody who can. And when you have this entrepreneurial idea and somebody's had a big exit, Zig Ziglar took me under his wing. I've helped so many young speakers because I have a moral obligation to reach out for those who really are serious about doing what they need to do. So scramble mode is good.
Do you want to ask him as much as I want to ask him?
Scramble mode is one of the best things we can be in because we perform at a higher level when adrenaline and endorphins, and especially dopamine, is flowing through our body. Our pupils dilate. We have more energy. We have that fight or flee mentality. And if the 3 of us are walking up in the mountains and we come face to face with a grizzly bear, we don't have to convince ourselves to get the flip out of there.
Yeah.
It's a natural deal. And what happens is our physiology changes because when we have the gift of fear, all the blood that's being forced into our parts of our bodies that we don't need in that moment, like our stomachs to digest food, our bodies, our miracle bodies, take all of that energy, all of that blood flow, and put it into our muscles so we can run faster than we've ever run, and into our lung capacity so we can endure and outrun the bear as long as we have to survive. Our bodies are miracles. So when you say I'm in a funk, that's brutal. When I coach speakers and I say, if you're nervous before you speak, it means you think it's about you. But if you're excited before you speak, you know it's about them. Ooh. And it's the same chemical. So fear and faith demand that both fear and faith demand that we believe in something we can't see. Get out of fear, get out of funk. Get back into faith mode, which means what can you do right now? So I bring up my 9 categories of life. Physical fitness, continuous education, deeper spirituality, emotional stability, social networking, financial literacy, learn something a little bit more, family togetherness, fun and recreation, how do you recalibrate, how do you fire up, and then charitable giving. Service before self. Who do you know that you could go serve right now that would create a moral obligation within their soul that, my gosh, I need to do something to help Tyson. I need to do something to help Logan. And the right person will do it. But then here's what I do. When I have my balance wheel, I have everybody grade themselves 1 to 15 where they're currently performing in each of those 9 categories of life. And then you connect the dots, and visually, if you can, visualize this word picture, when you connect the dots, it gives you a snapshot of your life in balance or out of balance. And most people, including myself, always working on it, is out of balance. It's a jagged, it's not a circle, it's a jagged circle. And then here's the solution that I think would help you. Number 1, identify one thing you can do in each of those 9 categories of life that would move the needle today with what you know, with your physical fitness, with your financial wherewithal. What's one thing you can do? Okay, let's transpose that into your business. What's one thing you could do right now that would move the needle? Financially, line of credit, customer base, whatever you need to do. Number 2, who in your life right now that you have access to could you solicit to be your accountability partner? Exactly. But now because you're both,
pointed to you.
I know, but because you're both experiencing the same funk, I would recommend that you get somebody outside that has fresh eyes. I just sold my 38th book to Morgan James, a major publisher. And so now I'm working with the editor.
I just wrote my first book and I got it back from my editor today.
I love it. See, But what happens is my hot button, my pet peeve is typos. I can't stand a misspelled word. Well, I've written it, I've proofread it, I believe it's in good shape. I had to give it to a third party to get a third party validation and new eyes on it so that they could find those one or two typos that I overlooked. Find someone else who can sit down with you and say, look, I believe in you guys. Let's forget about what's going on right now and what we can't control. Let's just figure out what we can control in our lives.
Would that be someone like you, or is that a family member, or is that someone like? Because I'm rightfully so. Like we're friends, but we're not like super close yet.
Exactly.
So who is that person? Is it just
okay? So that gets back to itemizing what is broken. Okay, so you got to scratch where it itches.
Dude, I'm all pumped. Like
I know, like I'm very like.
Okay, so let me give you this analogy. So if I blow out my knee. And be a big boy, don't cry, and I cowboy up and I endure the pain. Eventually it gets into a limp. And now the limp creates a back pain. And I finally break down and I go to a back doctor.
You're talking about my life right now.
And she can't fix it because it's not a back injury. It's not a back problem. It's a knee. You got to scratch where it itches. If your nose itches, you don't scratch your elbow. We have to go to the source of pain. So an outsider would say, let me see your books. Let me see your personal life. You got to get it right at home before you can get it right at work. You just can't do it. There's too many conflicts. Open up each of these books, non-judgmental, unconditional love. Okay, let's see. Whoa, that's broken. Whoa, that's broken. Wow, there's your knee injury right there. It has nothing to do with finances, guys. That's your back. Move the back crap, move the back pain, and focus in on what's really broken, and you can identify what's broken.
It's me.
No. In medicine, prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. We always try to jump the gun. This is what's broken. This is what's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mask the pain.
Yeah. And what you explain to me is we're losing money or we can't afford to pay. That's not what's broken, bro. I don't even have to look at your books. There's something that's broken that you can fix right now.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm like eating this up.
What's funny is I think I know too what it is.
Well, and
remember our audience. We got guys, we got men, we got guys just trying to stay married. I've been married for 45 years.
Just trying to stay married. That's
I know.
Deep,
everybody says, "What's your secret?" I've only been home 6 weeks total, man. It's going really good.
Living home 6 weeks.
So there's some variety. There's some distance. There's some. All these little things matter.
Yeah, I like what you were saying.
They'll fix your business. I promise you.
When I like what you're saying about, you kept saying moral obligation. We've talked about that. One of my favorite quotes has to do with moral obligation. And it's like what Tyson was saying before was just that it's like the whole more money, more problems. Like we definitely we have sponsors. We have companies that believe in us. We have partners that have believed in us. Like this whole setup here with the production company. It's just that as you continue to grow, it requires a heck of a lot more to keep growing. And then, the same thing of like, hey, I jumped into the social media business and I'm, that requires more than, when I had one brand deal here and there, while I also had a full-time job, it was like, cool, I got an extra $5,000 because I posted a couple videos for this one company. But when you're doing this full time, you need multiples of those. And so like I'm over here eating up all of this because I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm starting to identify, okay, I could do this. Oh, I can do this.
Yeah. And it's not how much we make, it's how much we spend.
Yeah. And then it's the application
scale back.
Of it.
Absolutely.
Right. And so like and it's funny you're saying like that we're just starting to break the seal on speaking engagements. We did our first one.
First keynote last Monday.
And we were intentionally thrown in the deep end. Like that's what we were told after the fact is that, hey, we were planning on having you speaking. We didn't tell you until it was too late to plan because we wanted to see how you handled an hour. And it was, we recorded it. We set up we put mics on and recorded it just so that we could watch ourselves back, sent it to a couple different people for coaching and things like that, because we want to go full bore into this because we believe in the messages that we have of that the everyday average guy can do more with his life and can be more and feel more fulfilled if you get out of your own damn way. And so you're saying all this stuff and it's like the same thing of like just the simple adage of just like, just knock on Muhammad Ali's door. Like, it's like, what's the worst thing you say is no. So it's like the symbolism, but also the literal, the literal application of all this stuff. I'm just eating it up. And so
what I hear is we need to go to lunch and you can just coach us.
Yeah. You know what? This is interesting. I want to help you get into the speaking world. when you become successful, people expect you to share your story and your message at the same level of excellence that created it. So you've got to become a master storyteller.
Well, we've been told that like you gotta help them follow the hero's journey, not just tell them your story, but like.
So what I've created in one of my books, Speak Like a Pro, or actually it's in my book, Story Selling.
Speak Like a Pro?
You what?
Speak Like a Pro is what it's
Speak
called?
Like a Pro or Story Selling. Yeah, that's going to come out in all the bookstores in Christmas as well. But I created what I call the speaker's triangle. Every person craves the answers to 3 questions in every conversation, one-on-one, one on 20, one on 200, or one on 20,000 in an arena. You can go to my website, danclark.com. I've spoken to 30, 40,000 folks in arenas. I used to do all those big shows. Everybody craves the answers to 3 questions, and it's an inverted triangle, so it formulates in our minds a funnel. Question number 1, why should I listen to you? Have you done it? Are you currently doing it? It's the credibility piece. Question number 2, the most important, can I do it too? With my past, with my limitations, with my weaknesses, and with my strengths, it's the possibility piece. So if I speak and I dazzle the audience and they leave dazzled with me, I've completely blown it. But if they leave dazzled with themselves that they can do it too, then I've succeeded as a speaker.
I like that.
And then because we answer credibility and possibility, it begs the answer to number 3, how do I do it? How do I get it from where I am to where I want to be? How do I get myself from where I am to where I want to be? What's your system? What's your time-tested, proven process? And is it worth it to me? And that's the usability piece. So credibility, possibility, usability. So when I coach you and you're speaking, if you can answer those 3 questions and then illustrate them with stories, because people don't buy what we sell, they buy what we believe. People don't buy what we do, they buy why we do it. And in business, our why is not making money. That's a result. Our why is, why are we in existence? Why did we start this podcast? Why did you start your business, your company? And why does that matter to me? So what we believe and why we do it is our story. Well, why should I listen to you?
Yeah.
Can I do it too? And how do I do it? All 3 of those questions are answered with a story.
Well, I like that because I can feel the authenticity coming from you, because we live in a world where some people are trying to take that formula, but like in a very unauthentic, almost like manipulative way, and they're making money, but then it's like they're not the same person on stage as they are in person. Like they're not the same person that they're projecting and selling these programs. And then it's like you hear in the networking groups and the different relationships are like, well, they're actually not, blah, 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 blah. Versus, like from the couple times that we've met, it's like you can glean that like, no, like I want to help you because someone has helped me. And it's the Sean Finnegan effect that we talk about, like providing value and then in return, so this motivates me and this charges me up, because I'm like, well, that's why we started the podcast. That's why he started Copper Johns. That's why I started social media. That's why, because it's like, we want to take guys out of these funks. But it's like, at the same time, we have no problem admitting that like, yeah, well, we're in some ourselves. And so it's kind of taking our own medicine, so to speak.
Yeah,
too.
but let me just share my compliment. You'll never find a strong person with a weak past. Because you're in a funk. If you start looking at, what is this preparing me for? There's something bigger. And the reason why you're going through the forest right now is because there's something on the other side. You don't go into the wilderness, you go through the wilderness.
Yeah.
And think about it. I wouldn't have met you guys if I hadn't been paralyzed. Let's just start connecting some of the dots. And a year from now, you'll be able to look back and go, this funk blessed our lives.
Yeah.
We're stronger, we're wiser. We have a whole different circle of influence.
Well, and also I think I'm getting taught a lot of empathy.
There's
a lot of things that, oh, by the way, sorry, this is nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I got permission to tell my story, my real story.
That's great.
So one day we'll have to do that. It shocked me. But I've been implying a lot of my story with everyone who listens and stuff like that, but it wasn't my story to tell.
I get it.
I got my permission, and
Awesome.
And it'll be very emotional when I do. But with that being said, what were we talking about? Because that threw me. Sorry, because it's a big deal.
Yeah.
We're talking about circles of influence, and I, like that's what and you said that like, the goal on the other side of the forest, like going through the thick of it. And I think that
empathy.
Yeah. Empathy. And everybody goes through a lot of different things. And, we talked about the hero's journey and all of that stuff. And that's kind of where I think that some people lose it. And guys, we lose it a lot too, is I think guys don't like to let on how much of an emotional creature we actually are.
I agree.
Because we find solitude in our complaints, in ourselves, right? And so when we kind of break free of that and we admit like I'm struggling, because I won't lie, when you kind of kick this off and you're like, well, yeah, and Logan's doing this and this, lost his job, struggling financially, even though as an open book as I am, I'm kind of was like, oh, like, hearing someone else admitting something that I've gone through of like, I took 7 years, built myself back up to a very comfortable financial position. And then in 7 months that flipped on its head, right? Savings are gone, credit cards are racked up, things like that. Your safety net is gone. And even all of this, I was like, oh.
Yep.
And then I started thinking, I'm like, I want to take that out. But as we've been talking, I'm like,
no, you can do it again.
But that's
what you did once, you can do again.
Yeah.
Let me add to that. So when I was paralyzed for 14 months, I had people come up to me, family members, teammates, friends. I knew they cared about me. And they came up and said, I know what you're going through. And I used to think, you don't have a freaking clue.
Yeah.
Psychologists teach us the average person talks between 200 and 400 words a minute. And yet we think between 400 and 800 words a minute, which means no one ever knows everything that we think. No one ever knows everything that we feel. No one ever knows everything that we want to say. The author Thoreau is right when he wrote, men lead lives of quiet desperation.
Yeah.
So we are in our own little cave dwellers manhood, if you will, stereotypical man. I got this covered. I'm not going to be vulnerable. I'm not going to show emotion. What I had to do is find someone who did know. So you being vulnerable is a blessing to everyone listening, especially those who are going, man, nobody knows my full story, but I'm resonating with Logan. I'm resonating with Tyson. Hopefully you're resonating with Clark.
Absolutely.
Because what happens is when we find people who have been there and done that, it strengthens us because of the speaker's triangle. Can I do it too? I did it. You can do it too. I've read one book a week for the last 16 and a half years.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, did you say one book a week?
Yeah, for the last 16 and a half years. But I don't listen to people.
They're all his books.
Yeah. As my mom said, I've written more than I've read. Yeah, those 3 years I was a junior in high school almost killed the whole faculty. I listen to podcasts from people that I respect.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the reasons why people get in funks is because we haven't cross-checked or cross-referenced our sources of truth.
Oh, dude, that hit me right in the face.
Okay. I'll give a Christian example. If you want to find out about Christ stumbling to the cross, you don't ask Judas Iscariot. You go to Peter, James, or John, or Mary, his mother. Tell me about Jesus. Tell me about what he was really like. I don't want somebody who betrayed him. So we've got to start in a checks and balance system. We've got to check our sources of truth. Okay, so my first trip to Iraq and Afghanistan was 2005. The war is blazing. I'm there 16 days, spoke 23 times on 12 bases on the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier to over 30,000 of our bravest men and women. And when I get back, I'm an anomaly. I have this guy, the motivational speaker, went down to the war zone of bombs, mortar attack, get shot at in a helicopter. I mean, it was a crazy deal. And I'm on a television show. And they asked me, talk to us, the war sucks and we don't have a coalition and our Iraqi policy is not good. And they were just asking me all these negative questions. And I said, stop it. They said, what? I said, you're adulterating the reality and integrity of the journalist. What do you mean? I said, let me tell you what I meant. I spoke in Russia in 1991, glasnost collapse of the Soviet Union. And I was the first American to speak on national television. It was broadcast to all 15 Commonwealth of Independent States. I could have started World War III. It was a 90-minute speech with the translator. And they said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to go back to Moscow when the government owned and operated a television station with my United Nations translator to see if she on stage gave the same speech that I did. I knew it was propaganda, and they laughed. So when we pulled into the television station, there were 4 tanks parked in each of the 4 directions, 3 stories of barbed wire, the most fortified guarded building, AK-47 carrying soldiers creeping around in the shadows of the night. The most highly guarded and fortified building in all of Moscow was not the Kremlin or the White House where I spoke. It was the television station. Why? He or she who controls the hearts and minds of the people controls the people. And he or she who asks the questions controls the conversation. So we need to be careful of what sources of news we're tuning into, and actually dive deep enough to see the philosophy and the opinions of the producers and those who decide which guests come on, because they sway the truth. They might be telling the truth, but it's this side, it's not that side as well. So basically, back to our conversation, since we're winding down, one of the things that gets in our way is hanging around with the same negative friends. I went to my high school reunion, and for the first 90 minutes, we lie. Man, it's good to see you. No, it's not. I hated your freaking guts. But finally, when we come to reality, I sit down with some of my buddies, and they're like, Clark, you used to get us in so much trouble. And they're rattling off all these things. And finally, I'd had enough. My life is so different now. I finally put my foot down. And I said, guys, quit dragging me into the past. It's like you're trying to rob my old house, and I don't live there anymore. Knock it off. So maybe one of the things that the listeners need to tune into is the reality that so many of our friends are still negative influences and dragging us down, and they don't want us to succeed because they aren't. Evaluate your sources of truth, your sources of influence, your sources of friendship, and start changing your mindset.
I've been reading The Gap. And that's cool.
That's a great book.
It's a really good book. And that's one thing I've really noticed is that I've been, during this funk, I'm not focusing on all the wins. I'm not focusing on where I am compared to where I was. I'm more focusing on, this is day one, this is my negative, and this is where I'm struggling, instead of like, dude, 5 years ago, look at where you are compared to now. And so I'm really trying to be that way. And the thing is like kind of what you're talking about. Go back to day one and what did you do? I've been doing that. And you said stop spending money. I've been getting out of these contracts that I put myself in. So everything you're saying, I've been doing, but not unconsciously doing, because I'm like, I gotta get back to square one. Like, what was I doing to succeed? And I learned a lot this past year of the things I'm like, well, that was a dumb idea. That didn't work and all that kind of stuff. But it's just, it sucks. And
focus on a righteous routine or a holy habit. You know, what do you do when you wake up in the morning? I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and I cold plunge. Something I don't want to do, but it's sweet. 6.5 minutes at 42 degrees. I exercise.
That's a cold one.
I read, and I do it all before anyone wakes up. So I would recommend everybody read Atomic Habits by James Clear. I've been on the program with him many times.
It is a good one.
His whole entire premise is that you can improve your overall performance if you just increase your personal value by 1%. Most people stop there. There are 1,440 minutes in every day. 1% of that is only 15 minutes. What could you accomplish? How could you get yourself out of the funk if you're willing to wake up 15 minutes earlier than you normally do? Spend 15 minutes in meditation, spiritual thought, where you block out the entire world and just listen to your breathing. Just relax, just get into it. 15 minutes more in the gym, 15 minutes more in listening to a podcast, whatever you have to do. I go to my library, I read for an hour. So way before anybody wakes up, way before I have any responsibilities with my spouse or children or grandkids or whatever the case may be, if you're selfish in the morning, you can be selfless for the rest of the day. My buddy Gary Brecka said that. If you're selfish in the morning, you can be selfless for the rest of the day. In my experience as a songwriter, I have to be creative. As an author, I have to be creative. When I have financial woes, I can't be creative. When I have something on my mind, I can't listen, I can't love, I can't forgive. I'm not there always in the present moment with my beloved wife or my kids or my friends. It affects everything when we are so swayed. So you gotta fix something to make sure that you're not being overwhelmed by finances. That's only one piece of the puzzle. And when you fix something else, it will affect that. And when you fix this, it will affect that. I guarantee you can snap out of it one day, one moment, one thing, one person, one idea at a time.
Oh, man. I was going to ask you, as we're wrapping up, like, well, what's one more little bit of little nugget? And I think that was the nugget.
I know. I was like,
like that was, I don't think we can say anything else to pack in any more into this without running out of time.
Come on again?
I was just about to say,
so badly,
we need to have you on.
We didn't make you like a regular.
We're going to do monthly updates with Dan Clark. So.
No, for the dads, one of my hit songs, I wrote it about my dad, and it's called Special Man. Used to get a lot of radio play. Any male can be a father, but it takes a special man to be a dad. So it takes us to the next level. You know, any idiot can get a girl pregnant, but what are you going to do about it? And once we start going to those responsible places, number one, taking personal responsibility, 100% responsibility for everything that's happened in my life, the good and the bad. And once we accept that, suddenly we're in a position to make a move, to fix what's broken, to scratch where it itches.
Dan, thank you. Holy cow. That was, I mean, I love the episodes where we just get to sit and learn, because that was so much information packed into such a short amount of time. So we're definitely going to have you back, because I feel like you just provided so much value to so many guys that are listening. And
a wealth of knowledge. I wasn't probably even scratching the surface with you.
But you know, remember, so the number one cause of death in Utah is male suicide.
Yeah.
And we all think it's about teenage suicide. The average male 52 and over is killing himself. So what we have to do is have a reason to hang in there. Hold on, one of my hit songs, in 2 more days, tomorrow's yesterday. So I tell everybody, if you're having suicidal ideologies, I guarantee you won't take your life if you're hanging with me, because we're going to laugh and we're going to cry and we're going to live. And that's what you need, is a friendship, an association, a relationship like that while you're in the funk, that can hold your hand and keep you going, reminding us all, like we said earlier, that you never go into the wilderness. Everyone who's ever succeeded and become the best version of themselves always had a wilderness experience, because they realized you go through the wilderness.
I love that.
Success is always on the other side of pain. Always.
And then we just need I want to say ride your coattails, but that's not the right word. Like, just get your insight on this public speaking, because we were told they loved our story. They loved everything.
Yeah.
They just said, we didn't see enough of you, meaning our personalities and stuff like that.
Okay, I can help you. Can I give everybody a gift like we talked about?
Oh, yes. I would love that.
So what I want everybody to do is to just go on your computer, your cell phone, and just type in danclark360.com. Dan Clark, DANCLARK 360.com. danclark360.com. And what happens when you click on that? A screen's going to come up on your computer or on your cell phone, and it'll give you every way possible to keep in touch with me: Instagram, Facebook, my website, danclark.com, all the ways, TikTok. And then on that screen, you'll see contact. And when you push on that, in the corner of the window is going to be send text. When you click on that button, send text, all you have to do is enter in your full name and the best email that you have, and put in their dad bods, so I know where we met. And when you click on that, my team will email you a free gift. I'll email you, I think the retail value is a few $100 of 3 videos on the art of significance. Have a good laugh and cry, little stories, whatever I can do to keep in touch. And then we have witnesses, bros. I want to be back. Let's talk. Let's just keep going. I appreciate this friendship so much more than you'll ever know.
We'll text Becky and we'll get it lined up again.
Yeah,
so
let's do it.
With that, Dan, thank you so much for being on the show. Check out danclark360.com. Get that free gift. I know what I'm doing on the way home. And check on your inner circle. Check on your where you're being influenced and who you're influencing. So
That was really good.
Thanks.
Love you guys. We'll see you next week.
Love you. Thanks, Tyson.